UFC 276, the press conference just ending behind us. T-Mobile Arena, Luke Thomas, Brian Campbell, Las Vegas, Morning Combat. You know the drill. Let's get right into it. Luke, we don't expect high journalism at these events, but the UFC rolling out...
Or any.
or decency or deodorant, to be fair. But UFC rolling out all 10 main card fighters. Luke, let's start at the top.
Right.
Israel Adesanya versus Jared Cannonier. Did we learn anything more from the main event from a Adesanya who's fighting off other future opponents more than Cannonier in this event?
Sean Strickland was giving him some guff. And I noticed something, too. Before Izzy was looking around after the whole Sean Strickland incident, he was looking directly at Pedro, and he and Pedro had like a moment where they just like looked at each other. No one seemed to pick up on it, or maybe I'm imagining things, but I'm pretty sure I saw it. It kind of tells what I've seen all week from him. He is extremely focused. He seems extremely ready to go, dialed in, whatever metaphor you would like to use. You saw more of that here, and he got lippy with some of the other people, but he also seems to know things that Jared Cannonier didn't, which is that this is not a place where you answer questions in any kind of serious way.
I mean, a guy did take his shirt off while I was trying to bring some decency to it and ask a question, even though I'm the most indecent person to bring decency. But, like, guys are showing their boobs. There was a lot of mayhem going on.
Yes.
That's a lot for the champ to deal with. It's not that we've never seen a press conference where somebody from the row behind is trying to make their name. Jeremy Stevens is the hardest hitter at 145. Just wanted to let you know that.
Yes.
But I never saw where both potential opponents are just coming at the champ like this. I mean, luckily for him, Cannonier almost wasn't ready for this type of position today.
Well, I'll tell you what. I've been to other press conferences where the fans didn't cheer Izzy like they cheered him at this one.
Yeah.
Now, again, we went back to this with a pregame preview. How popular is Izzy? There's a broader debate to be had about that. But at least this time, he was well-liked by the crowd. They seem to like his one-liners. And poor Jared Cannonier, again, how much will it matter for the fight? You be the judge, who the hell knows? But he did seem to get a little lost in the headlights out here. These kinds of things, you have to know how to answer them. Max knew how to answer it. Volkanovski's getting better at it. Izzy's the master of it, certainly within that crowd. Jared Cannonier, a bit of a fish out of water.
A lot to talk about Max, about how Sean Strickland dealt with this. But like we say, this event is not for everybody. You're not the type of guy that's going to go up there and follow some of our brethren out there that are a little more colorful and ask a question. For Cannonier, this is not his setup to begin with. I don't expect great trash talk, but we didn't even get like good answers. It was almost like he just was like, man, this is not my thing.
These pressers are weird, man. Like, I don't know what the fighters can hear when they're up there. We were in the media section, I don't know, maybe a dozen or so rows back. And, dude, it's like the fighters have to just – so there's two kinds of fighters. There's the ones the fans like. Actually, three. But there's the ones the fans don't like. And then the ones they just don't really care about. Brian Barberina didn't seem to get a reaction one way or the other, except to say that he would be the great dance partner for Robbie Lawler, which is probably true.
I mean, wearing the Hillbilly Jim's get-up was enough.
Something. But I'm trying to point out something. The other thing is every time Jared Cannonier wanted to answer anything, or Volkanovski, for example, they got booed and heckled and people screamed at them. I don't know. Give me like a bit of a I don't know. I didn't like.
You want some
it.
QC. You want a little quality control on some degree. There.
Well, I mean, these guys they're getting brain damage for a living. I mean, you can have your favorites. Listen, the fans are going to do what the fans are going to do. But I've always said this. This is not a press conference. This is a pep rally. This is the big thing where the high school gets together and then the basketball team does the slam dunks and everyone cheers and hoots and hollers, or if it's the football team, they do whatever, and then they go off and then they play. It's not for any other purpose other than that.
Before we characterize Max Holloway's sort of heel turn today, I did ask Adesanya who he would prefer to face, only because he's had both Sean Strickland and Alex Pedro during this press conference, kind of talking their own version of ish to him. Do you think he has a preference in the end? Do you think he's hoping one guy over the other for monetary purposes?
It's got to be Pedro. It's got to be, because he's right. If he had asked who had seen the fight, or the two fights he's had previously, and not a lot of folks have, and he's right if you watch it. Izzy did really, really well. Obviously, the knockouts or the knockout certainly stands.
One decision, one KO. So what is he saying that, like, if we would watch it, to like...
Izzy got the better of a lot of those for long durations. Okay. Certainly in the fight where he got knocked out, for example, he was winning that fight for the vast majority of it, and he did have him on skates. Like, he was... kickboxing is a brutal sport. Things happen. And again, the guy who won is the guy who you have to consider the rightful winner, especially when it's by KO. But I think Izzy's point is, and he made a point, if you go back to UFC 92, Vanderlei Silva taking on Rampage Jackson. Rampage lost the first two and came out and then bulldozed him. Now, the difference is that Vanderlei's chin by that point had been totally compromised. But you get the idea. He thinks Third time's going to be just the charm, and I really, really think he wants to right that wrong.
Speaking of third time potentially being the charm, Max Holloway surprising us. Maybe there were 10 fighters out there for this press conference, not the typical 4, because there's so many reserved personalities in the top 2 fights, yet it's Max Holloway talking a little junk, nothing mean-spirited, but he was witty, he was quick. Did it surprise you at all?
It did. It did. I knew he'd be pumped up, but you should see the energy when I was in his room.
This is Tuesday night of this fight week.
It was like another guy you're passing in the aisle at the grocery store. I mean, he just was totally calm. I got to tell you, the talk he's had, right? Because you heard it, where he said this is not going to go past 3, and then of course he was asked about it here. But dude, he's had a little bit of a remember when I asked him in the interview about Cater, and he was like, these guys are calling me journeyman, and what was the word he used? The word he used was outrageous. He was offended.
Yeah,
he was pissed. And I think when the fans are here, him feeling it, we're now just days away. Dude, he knows what these are about too. Again, it's a pep rally. You're partly...
It's a commercial pep/pep rally, and that's it. That's the only
exactly
2 things it is.
And he knows that, so he played that role. But also, don't you agree, BC? Max is more fired up competitively than I have seen him in quite some time.
As he should be. Obviously, we're going to get into this later in this week in Morning Combat, our live show on Friday, in terms of who wins and why, but I like that fire that we're seeing out of Max Holloway. You could talk yourself into the idea that 10 rounds already, we learned that he can't beat the chess master at chess. Could he change that narrative by coming out more aggressive? Is he throwing a smoke screen? There's a lot to think about from what we saw. But is there a lot to think about from what we saw and heard from one Sean Strickland? Maybe you call him the dime store trailer park Chael Sonnen in terms of his intent to take some 80s cheese WWE type of lines, point out people in the crowd and heckle them. We did laugh a little bit, but the cringe factor was through the damn roof. We got some political comments. What did you make of this whole breakout?
Yeah, this is how you know, everyone can speak for themselves. This is how you know I don't fit into MMA. I can't stand his personality, and I really respect him as a fighter. And the fans are the exact opposite. They hate him as a fighter. They think that, in fact, part of the reason that they don't like him is that he talks this craziness, and then the fights are actually quite cerebral.
Now,
and
he's
quite
aggressive,
thoughtful.
but he's not finishing guys, right?
Well, okay, there's certain limits to his style. I'm not telling you it's the most interesting style in the world, but he hasn't lost in 4 years. Like, I have a lot of respect, not just for what he's done, but how he has really turned around his game. No one talks about this. He's got some of the best takedown defense in the business. Dude, as a fighter, he is a formidable foe. As a personality, he needs therapy, like real bad. But the fans see it exactly the opposite. Now, I will say, for this setting, his personality, as out there as it is perfect. It's perfect for this kind of thing.
There's a lot of what he does that's foul. It's purposely foul. What he said at the media day just a day ago, I didn't want to repeat some of it, but it was inflammatory on purpose to try to piss you off.
Some of it is an act.
This was a little bit more cheeky. Let me try to win you over by saying, you filthy fans. That's a better turn for the kind of shtick he's been using before that.
Yeah, but it is weird. Like, of all the people who were not in the front row, so the 4 people in the main and co-main, who got the biggest pop? Sean Strickland. Strickland by a mile.
Oh, okay, yeah. But
outside the front 4.
Sugar Sean O'Malley dominated the other.
Sean O'Malley got a big pop when he first came up, but then after that, Sean Strickland kind of stole that version of the show, did he not?
And he purposely did, and I'll give him credit for at least, if you didn't know much about him, if you were sleeping under a rock, now you know who he is after this press conference. What about those Sugar Sean O'Malley? No one's doubting the stardom. I thought things got a little spicy between him and Pedro Munoz, including that face-off. It looked like somebody wanted to be the first one to sort of try a slap or push or something. Did that surprise you at all?
No, but it does tell me, and you kind of could see this based on their styles. They're all action fighters, but that one, don't blink. Just don't blink in that one. Pedro Munoz would love nothing more than to kill the golden goose, so to speak. And for Sugar Sean O'Malley, beating a guy, listen, I know he fought Chito Vera and he lost, but this is the point. This is the second very good fighter I would consider him to have fought. If he beats this guy, dude, it's all bets are off at that point. He's going to have a rocket ship to the stars on top of what he's already had. And it's a big opportunity for him to prove a lot of the people wrong, because Pedro Munoz is both durable and he hands out. Even when he loses, he's a tough fighter. He hits hard. He has hard leg kicks. He has very, very tough guillotines, right? He really cranks them and so forth. So it's a big opportunity in either direction. Both feel it, both know it, and both really want to seize this opportunity.
It would be the biggest win of both of their careers. You love when that's the case, right?
Yeah,
more
it would
less,
be. That's
more
right.
Or less.
That's right.
The final member of this 10-man group, the legend, Robbie Lawler, who is, like you, not made for this type of setup. He's going to face Barberina. It'll probably be a fun brawl for what Lawler still has in the tank. And, God, I love when the fans were giving him that old action hero respect. Cowboy gets that rightfully so. Yep. You see some other guys in that category. I loved it. In terms, though, what do you think Robbie's thinking as he's sitting around this? Because he never, ever has gotten down. Even with basic interviews, he's like, I'd rather do anything than stand next to you.
What is Robbie thinking? did I leave the iron on?
Yes.
Or
no, that's what you actually were
yeah.
thinking on the way to the arena.
I should check my email or anything to be anywhere other than where he was. But as BC said, and everyone who knows Robbie's career, by Saturday night, none of that will matter. He will throw with the best of them. Bryan Barberena, I will say, for a guy who had a lot to gain but very little ability to probably make use of that, he got a decent pop with his commitment to give the fans what they wanted in a fight with a guy who they adore. So that's about the best you can do.
The true currency to the fans is how much you give. How much are you willing to give us? How much are you willing to entertain us? And it's great to see both of those guys, even Barberena, get some of that
By the way,
love.
also, I did love the fact that when you left the microphone, you gave John Anik a shout.
That's my boy, Blue.
You are.
That's my boy, Blue. I mean, what's more cringe, me shouting out my boy John Anik and calling him the GOAT, or every other thing that happened out there, okay?
How about the back and forth between it? I don't know. I guess this is MK. Yeah. I mean, I got the CBS.
No, this is CBS Sports.
I got the CBS mic flag on, so I need to be careful about this. How about Sean Strickland accusing the champion, Izzy, of having weird. I will dance it. I will dance it. Of having weird proclivities around cartoons, and the crowd eating it up, and then Izzy kind of owning it.
That's how you own. Yeah,
that is a thing that happens.
That's like when I wore that, amazing all the smoke jumpsuit, this week. Okay, shout out. This is Morning Combat, BC and LT. Obviously, we are hitting you hard. UFC 276, start to finish. Don't miss Luke's sit down with Max Holloway from this week. Mine with Jared Cannonier. So many bonus stuff, and Luke, of course, Friday's live show, 5 p.m. Pacific time.
Beer House,
right out there, Toshiba Plaza, on your exit of the T-Mobile Arena after the ceremonial weigh-in. Luke, it's a pleasure.
Is it?
Not really.
No, it's not.
From Mos Eisley's Cantina in Tatooine, this has been Morning Combat. Thank you for watching.